All right, let's get right into it. If you've ever looked at your calendar and it feels more like a chaotic battlefield than a strategic blueprint, then you are in the right place. We're going to talk about how to stop trying to just power through everything with willpower and instead build a system that gives your business a steady, predictable pulse.
So, let's just start with a super honest question. Take a look at your week. Is it actually a reflection of what you decided was important? Or is it just a random collection of everybody else's emergencies? If you feel like you're constantly playing defense, you're definitely not alone. But the good news is, it's a trap we can systematically take apart.
To make this really hit home, let's talk about someone named Jordan. Now, on paper, his calendar looked super impressive. It was packed with 18 different meetings. But when you looked closer, beneath all that frantic activity, there was literally zero time for deep work, for thinking, for the stuff that actually pushes a business forward. It was just pure, unfiltered reaction.
Now here's where it gets really interesting, and honestly, a little shocking. You have to look at the actual cost of all this chaos. Research from a company called FlowTrace found that ineffective or unnecessary meetings waste about $25,000 per employee per year. Just let that sink in for a second. This isn't just about feeling stressed out. It's a huge financial leak in the business. So first, let's really diagnose the problem. We're going to take a closer look at this 18-meeting week and see how easily being busy can fool us into thinking we're making progress. So just look at this breakdown. When you see each item by itself, it seems totally reasonable, right? A client call here, a vendor meeting there, no big deal. But when you add them all up, they turn into an absolute monster. 18 separate meetings, and that's not even counting the prep time and follow-up, ate up over 22 hours of Jordan's week. That's more than half his work week just talking, not doing. So, the fix for this requires a really fundamental shift in your mindset. It's all about making a conscious choice to move from a state of constant reaction to one of intentional rhythm. Let's break down what that actually looks like day to day. And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, you've got the reactive schedule. Your calendar fills up like a game of Tetris, but with other people's blocks. And on the right, you have an operating rhythm. This is where you have predictable, protected space, and your priorities dictate what meetings happen, not the other way around.
Now, the framework to get this control is built on 3 nested rhythms. I want you to think of them like gears of different sizes, all working together. The small gear turns fast, the big one turns slow. But together, they power the whole machine forward, nice and smooth.
Okay, first up is the daily rhythm. Now, this is not just another long to-do list. This is about identifying the 3 to 5 absolutely critical tasks, your non-negotiables. These are the things that if you skip them, you're just creating fires you're going to have to put out tomorrow. This rhythm is all about creating stability. Then, building on that daily stability, the next gear up is your weekly rhythm. This is the real engine of your strategy. It's a dedicated, predictable chunk of time every single week to review your progress, make the important decisions, and set a clear mission for the next 7 days. And finally, we have the monthly rhythm. This is your strategic zoom out. This is where you get to step back and ask that all-important question. Are all those daily and weekly things we're doing actually moving us toward our big goals? It's about making sure you're not just busy, but that you're actually being effective. And hey, this isn't just some nice idea. Research from the Kauffman Foundation shows that founders who actually use these kinds of structured rhythms report a staggering 42% less decision fatigue. That is a huge amount of mental energy you get back to focus on what really matters.
Okay, so let's get super practical. The absolute heart of this entire system is what you can call the 90-minute CEO rhythm. And this is not just another meeting on the calendar. This is your weekly operating session.
And this session has a really specific flow, broken into 5 focused parts. You start with a clarity reset to decide on the one primary focus for the entire week. Then, you move through value, revenue, and controls, basically checking the vital signs of the business. And you end with an efficiency reset, where you actively hunt for things that are slowing you down and fix them. Every part has a purpose and a time limit. That's what keeps it so sharp. So, a framework is great, but how do you actually make it real? Let's look at 3 simple but really powerful tools you can use to get this system up and running in your own world, like today. Tool number 1 is the weekly anchored template. It's basically a simple one-pager that walks you through your 90-minute session. And what's so brilliant about it is that it forces you to have an output for each section. You walk out of that meeting with a concrete action plan, not just a bunch of vague ideas. All right, tool number 2 is this daily non-negotiables tracker. Listen, the goal here is not to be perfect. The goal is to collect data. You just track what got done. It takes maybe 2 minutes a day, but after a month, it gives you this crystal clear, objective picture of where your daily operations are humming along and where they're starting to break down. And tool number 3 is your monthly course correction, and it's all guided by 3 simple but powerful questions. First, what's working? Awesome, let's do more of that. Second, what's not working? Okay, we got to fix it, get rid of it, or completely redesign it. And finally, based on all that, what is the one intentional change we need to make for next month? This is what keeps your whole system from getting stale.
So what happened with Jordan? Well, this chart says it all. You can see his meeting load drop like a rock, from 18 down to 11. But look at the most important bar there. His completion rate for his daily non-negotiables shot up to 83%. He didn't just feel less busy. The data proves he went from total chaos to real control.
So here's the bottom line. A busy calendar doesn't build a business. An operating rhythm does. That 90-minute weekly session becomes your anchor in the middle of all the chaos. And maybe the most important thing is this. The system is designed to work even when you don't feel motivated. That's the whole point. It replaces willpower with a process you can rely on. And that just brings us to this perfect quote from James Clear. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. An operating rhythm, well, that's the system that catches you. It's what makes sure you're always making progress, not just on the days you feel inspired.
And that really just leaves one last question for you. You can let your calendar go back to default, back to chaos, or you can choose control. So what intentional rhythm are you going to build to run your next week?